Hello, and welcome to the second section of the Mastering CSS video course, Ramping Up. So in order to code great websites, we need to ramp up and learn about the things that will help us be better developers. In this section, we're going to look at text editors that speed up our workflow, CSS resets that reset the default browser styling down to nothing, the built-in browser developer tools to help us troubleshoot our code. Then we're going to look at renaming elements with classes and IDs, as well as qualifying our selectors by using descendant selectors. We'll start with text editors. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript can be written in almost any text editing application. That's one of the great things about the three core web design languages. The problem is that writing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is extremely error-prone, especially when writing CSS. Commas, semicolons, and curly braces need to be typed in the right spots. Specific syntax needs to be adhered to perfectly in most cases, or else your page won't render as you expect it. This is text edit, which is pretty much the same as Notepad for Windows. Let me write some code. Start with HTML doc type. We'll add an HTML opening tag, HTML closing tag, and we'll add the head and the closing head tag. And as you can see, it's a pretty tedious process writing code here in text edit. I can write code here, but I'm really getting nothing out of it. No syntax highlighting, no nothing. Luckily, a good text editor can really do the hard work for you. In this video, we'll look at a very good text editor, Sublime Text 3, and some of the great features this application has to help you write HTML and CSS even better. First, we'll look at a few cool features like snippets, then we'll look at syntax highlighting, followed by code suggestions and multiple cursors. Sublime Text 3 is my text editor of choice, as it is so fast and easy to use. One of the things I love is how easy and natural it makes it to write code. So one of the things that Sublime Text allows us to do is everything and more I typed into text edit, I can just really type in HTML:5, hit the tab key, and I get a basic boilerplate for my HTML, which is a lot of code that it just wrote for me. So other things I can do is type in div and have that expand with the closing tag created automatically and the cursor right in between the opening and closing div tag. I can do that for any HTML element. Just type in like something like P and hit tab, and I get my cursor right in between it. So that's something like that is beautiful. Something that simple is really nice to have. So we can take this one step further and install the Emmet package, and I highly encourage you to do so. This will provide even better code snippets. In fact, the HTML:5 code snippet that I wrote, this one here, that's actually an Emmet snippet. It doesn't come standard with Sublime. But the ability to install packages, which are basically plugins in Sublime, is another reason why it's so powerful. There's a package for everything you need that doesn't come out of the box with Sublime. So let's say you need syntax highlighting for Cold Fusion code. There's a package that will do that for you. I have an article on my site that covers package installation, which is pretty simple to do if you check out richfinelli.com/installing Sublime Package Manager. By far the best package and the first one you should install is Emmet. With Emmet, if I type in something like div greater than ul greater than li times 5, and then I type in an anchor, and then maybe something like curly braces link $, that expands to a div with a UL with 5 list items, each with an anchor tag, each with the text link 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just one of the nice things that Emmet allows you to do, for example. Also, a nice thing that you might have to do, since I have 5 LIs, I may need to type in the same thing in each one. If I hold down my command key and click, I can actually create multiple cursors. So now I can type the same thing in 5 different spots. Now another cool thing is, let's say I want to type in some placeholder text. I can type in lorem 10 or lorem 12 or lorem 15, any number, and hit tab, and it automatically expands to that many random words of lorem ipsum text. So let's switch over to CSS for a second. There are more basic features, just like syntax highlighting, that makes your job much easier. Notice how the rule sets all follow a color scheme. The selectors are red, properties are blue, the values are purple. This will start getting embedded into your subconscious mind. What Sublime Text does for you is subtly point out your mistakes. I commonly type in a semicolon where the colon should be. Something like this. This will cause your CSS to not work. The syntax highlighting, though, tells me that something is wrong because the color scheme is now different. It's easy to spot a color difference, whereas it's harder to see the difference between a colon and a semicolon if you're not looking for it. There are also some cool features like code completion and code suggestion. So if I start typing in something like border, what I get are all the different properties that start with border. So I'm looking for border radius, so I can just go to that one and hit tab, and it automatically completes it for me. And there are so many other reasons why I love this text editor that I won't go into. It comes at a cost, though, $70. However, they have an unlimited free trial that you can use to determine whether or not you like it or not. And trust me, you will. Now, I'm not saying that Sublime is the only text editor you should use or try. There are other very good editors like Coda, TextMate, Vim, Atom, Brackets, Edgecode, and others. If you're using something else that does most of these things I'm talking about and works for you, then stick with it. Mainly, I just want to make sure you're not using Notepad or TextEdit to write your code, as that would be very painful and unproductive. So in this video, we learned about code snippets, syntax highlighting, and code suggestions and completion that come with a good text editor. A good text editor is essential to writing good HTML and CSS and will make our lives much easier.